Hello, thank you for your presence. It's very nice, and I'm very happy that I can be here and participate in this conference. Before I will start, I will tell a little bit about myself. About my perspective, which is kind of complex and complicated. As Regina mentioned, I'm a researcher and I'm working in the art curation and project management and in cultural projects field. I also have a little bit of experience from this communication field, so my perspective is kind of blended and mixed and complex, and it stems from many different activities that I had been doing, and I think it will be very present during the presentation. That there are some insights that I am able to notice because of that, because of that experience that I have. Before I start the main part, I will also want to explain or define what reframing is, because I think this reframing term is very present and there is a need for change. So by reframing, I mean finding new approaches and definitions of workflow, methodology, or of art, technology projects. New definitions of project management in art technology projects as well, and finding new main values or goals in this kind of projects, as well. So that would be the main goal of today's speech. And important note, my observations and insights concern projects that bring together representatives of quite separate environments. I mean, technological and artistic. Some of the remarks will not apply to projects planned by artists who have been experimenting with media for a long time. It is rather a framework from representatives of environments who would like to engage in dialogue, who would like to start a dialogue, or start to collaborate with entities or environments, as I said, with which they have previously little or no experience. The second important insight regarding context is that as a variety of technological solutions are more and more intensely immanent element of social functioning, there's also, and this is easy to understand, an increased interest in art experiment with technology innovations, like in various forms. Especially that complex issues need complex or interdisciplinary approach. For complex problems, interdisciplinary approach, including art technology-based ones, are important and attractive for several reasons, like diverse perspectives, innovative solutions, holistic understanding, because complex problems often involve various interconnected factors that cannot be fully understood from the perspective of single discipline. Cross-pollination of ideas, and I will speak about that later, as well as addressing ethical and social implications. Complex problems frequently have ethical, social, and cultural dimensions that extend beyond purely technical consideration. So this is one important thing to note. In terms of history, I will not present the whole history of relation between art and technology, because we don't have 1 year for that. But exploration of new technologies by artists has consistently played a pivotal role in the evolution of art. However, it wasn't until the 60s, around the 60s of 20th century, that the creative methodologies now recognized as the cornerstone of technological art were officially established. Since then, I believe, we can observe a growth in projects exploring the intersection of art and tech. What was originally defined as technological art is now spreading to the practices of non-specialist artists working with various media. By saying that, I mean, of course, there's a technological art, and it has its own history, and I respect it, and I know, I mean, yeah, what it is. But I have the impression, and I observe art scene like in Poland, Europe generally, that artists that are playing with and working with traditional media are more and more interested in the technological or media formats, and it's very interesting. I mean, this shift is very interesting in terms of like cultural studies and art studies and this kind of thing. So this is my insight here. What's also very important is an infrastructure, and by infrastructure I mean fundings, of course. Funding infrastructure. In context of European Union, we can find several projects. For example, Future and Emerging Art and Technology. This is a part of Horizon Research Funding Project. Or SD Art, Science, Technology and Arts, funded by European Union as well, as they say, and I will read what they put on their website. SD Art offers residencies that deepen knowledge sharing and collaboration. Academies focus on bridging the gap between arts and technology through education. Regional centers intended to expand the initiative of the local level. Thematic pilots and prizes which support radically innovative technologies developed in collaboration with artists and focused on contemporary challenges. Just to show the scale, from 2016 to 2023, this initiative funded 151 residences with funding of almost 5 million euros. So this is something. Although I cannot see this kind of initiative on the national level, I mean, I'm speaking from Polish perspective. But I believe, or rather I hope, that in the future, whether it's near or distant, we can expect the emergence of a separate category in local national funding programs specifically dedicated to creative endeavors in this field. Okay, so that was the theory. Big goals, big ideas, which is also always nice. But in practice, sometimes it looks a little bit different. So today I would like to examine the practices of co-creating art&tech projects and consider what can be done to ensure that actions on a smaller scale with limited resources can be coordinated and planned in a way that allows those goals to be achieved. So I would like to talk a little bit about the case study I prepared, and I have to mention that I have to say the special thanks to Jan Skorupa from PCNC Future Labs. And conversation with him was a huge inspiration to do this talk. So for those who don't know, Poznań Supercomputing and Networking Center is a research institution, is a part of Polish Academy of Science. And this research institution has this like smaller part, let's say, which is called PCNC Future Labs. Those labs are open to residents of Poznań and Poland, Poznań businesses and organizations. There, as they say, anyone can submit a research project that will undertake with volunteers and experts from their community or of innovators. In the dialogue between the real and the digital world, as they say, because I cannot see the difference, but okay, we look for valuable challenges and support innovators to create tomorrow's solution. So that's the official claim. There's also one special lab. This is Art and Science Lab, managed by Jan Skorupa, that is running art and technology, art and science projects. So, based on insights from within the organization, I would like to address several problematic issues in conducting art and tech projects, assuming thus that these projects involve collaboration between, as I said previously, representatives of two distinct environments, those associated with art and creative practices, and those associated with technology. I mean, from inside the PCNC, basically. The workflow and working process present in the environments I mentioned often differ significantly from each other. And of course, I will be talking about some sort of simplification. It will be a model. It will be like a very general model, let's say. Like in real life, there are certainly like many deviations and exceptions. So I just wanted to mention that. I will present, however, several points, potential flashpoints that may bring difficult moments in collaboration. And this is, yeah, I forgot. So this is what they do in PCNC. Like short. And this is what I was talking about, just, yeah, differences. And in Polish, it's like mieszać, łączyć ogień z wodą. Yeah, and I wanted to translate it and to mix oil and water, so to mix something that is not able to connect with each other. So there are several points, several moments that can be difficult. Let's start with initiative. What I mean by that, it's initiative, I mean, like how does it start? So the most often, it's the art environment that is most interested in this process of searching the new tools of expression. And this is very interesting that there's like this, the urge to collaborate comes from the field of art. But if the initiative comes from the field of technology, let's say, it usually involves institutional level involvement, research institutes and departments, and such institutions operate in grant and project infrastructure. So projects are planned to generate something for the grant's needs. And there's a term for that, it's project dictatorship. So the project frequently doesn't come from the need, but from the project criteria and the possible funding. There's also a problem of the way those two environments tend to treat each other sometimes. Tech, let's say, comes from the instrumental perspective. So the approach is like, let's sonificate something, or let's fill the solution with the content. Let's like say artists will bring a content and we will fill it and it will like run or look okay. While art comes from the position of need of tool. And this can lead to friction, exclusions. So this is the first thing. As I said, workflow. There are frequent differences in the work system. First, oriented towards process and exploration of what is yet not known. And this workflow is more present in the cultural or art field. Versus action following structure and schedule aimed at the project realization and like strict goal, which is more present in its tech environment. So if these two workflows are not skillfully integrated or modified or translated, if there's big lack of moment of translation between them, it can lead to friction and difficulties in collaboration, like some frustration, something like that. Vocabularies, just different nomenclature, professional jargon that requires translation. And scale of action. this is very interesting. Art is generally underfunded. Yeah, that's true. And in the case of art-tech projects, at least in Poland, there's an infrastructure gap. Artistic communities do not know where to obtain funding for such activities, but even if the funds are granted, there's a difference in interpreting the scale of action. For example, for artistic project like 150,000 zlotys, it's like, I don't know, 30,000 euro, 40 is a significant budget, but for technological projects such like developing new application is just not enough. So the cultural community is very often unaware of how costly it is to produce something in terms of like technological development. And there's also the tendency to carry out large projects with insufficient resources, which is like very present in cultural field, but this mode of operation just cannot be executed in just technological field. There's also differences, the matter of tight schedule. In projects focuses on exploring new forms of expression. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and it's completely normal, but it's challenging when operating in a structured, strict, time-bound manner, which is very difficult for example, for programmers or technological sector employees, where technological sector employees' time is very costs a lot. Those problems, let's say, or issues, it's difficult to overcome them if we work in a project-based collaboration. In project that has its aim, like we have to produce something and then it's done. So there's not enough time to kind of discuss the problems I'm talking about right now. But I have solution, no worries. The solution, or one of many solutions that I also discussed with Jan and with the cultural sector and art, would be implementation, let's say, or presence of someone who would serve as the translator and facilitator, a specialized and empathetic project manager of project. In the case of Art Lab, this role is fulfilled by Jan. He has experience in both tech and art fields. He understands these two areas, and he's able to translate between them to enable mutual understanding. His role requires a mix of hard and soft skills with the particular emphasis of high-level communication competencies, patience, and empathy that was mentioned. So I'm talking about that role to somehow, propose the position. When project is in a state of design, let's say, it's good to think that we will need the person like that to maybe put it in the project, or somehow secure the budget for this kind of role. Or maybe if we are hiring someone to run the project as a project manager, it would be great to think that this kind of skills, like both hard and soft, would be needed for them. So that's the idea, the solution that I would like to present. The second solution, let's say, or proposition, it's to think about the experiment, or I should put maybe process, as a value in itself. So just redefining the goals, incorporating experimentation and the search for new collaboration models as goal that has values in itself, and which do not necessarily lead to outcome that can be presented in a finished work to the public. And I have one example of this kind of project that I think has at least partially fulfilled the aforementioned goal. So in the Future Labs workshop, the Poznań collective of dancers, sound artists and composers, Jakub Czerski, Przemysław Górski, Patryk Durski, Anna Kamińska, Marta Kaca, Jan Skorupa, Dominik Więcek. They produced an interactive performance, Musica Posthumana. The project made use of the OptiTrack movement tracking system, by means of which the dancers' performance movement created a generative soundtrack. So as they were moving, the sound were reacting. And the project had two outcomes. So the first one was kind of obvious. It was the finished work, the performance of Musica Transhumana. And the second outcome was the development of a workflow between performance, sound artists, programmers, and engineers. They were working like for 3 or 4 months, and they kind of formed a group. The collaboration group transformed into a working group where each member started to act as a translator to each other. There was a culture of direct and immediate mutual feedback and continuous verification. The culture of mutual loop was created. And I think, and this is what artists said, that they started to understand each other. I mean, because of the way they were working, with each other, as not as two different groups that they just want something from each other, but as a working group that formed like new quality, let's say, of workflow. Okay. And this is everything from my side. And I believe that these two tools, solutions, however we will name it, proposed by me, namely the introduction of the being aware that the person that runs the project, interdisciplinary project, has to become this kind of translator, and the introduction of category of process experiment as a value can lead to a deep exchange and mutual understanding, which is just needed for fruitful collaboration. I'm also very interested in your opinions in that matter. Like, you're the practitioners, so you will verify if it does make sense. I will gladly respond to your comments and questions like now or later. And thank you.